96% of entrepreneurs say they never want to go back to a regular job, but most of them do. Why? And more importantly, why do some push through and succeed while others give up? Hey, I'm Faris Al-Halou. I was forced into entrepreneurship after a painful layoff. I struggled through the first couple of years, but eventually figured things out and went on to build 7 businesses, mostly in consulting and professional services. One of the businesses grew to 8 figures and was acquired by global media giant dentsu. Along this 20+ year journey, I've seen that most entrepreneurs don't fail because of laziness, lack of passion, or even lack of resources. They fail because of 4 hidden forces. I'm going to break down what those forces are and how to beat them so you can stay out of the 9-to-5 trap for good and build a business that actually works. Businesses don't kill dreams. These 4 forces behind them do: mindset, planning, business partners, and a 4th that hits harder than the rest. The first force, mindset as it relates to entrepreneurship. Most people underestimate how much our mindsets shape our daily decision-making, resilience, and long-term success. In entrepreneurship, risk is inherent. So if you don't come into entrepreneurship with this in mind, you'll struggle. There's the risk of losing money. There's the risk of failure. There's the risk of reputation, among many other risks. According to Harvard Business School, HBS, entrepreneurship is pursuing novel opportunity while lacking resources. So by design, entrepreneurship is about doing something big without a whole lot of resources. All that becomes real when we decide to take on this entrepreneurial journey. And if you look at the statistics, 12,000 new companies are starting every day. That's 4.4 million companies every year. And when we hear about the failure rates, 50% of these new businesses fail after 5 years. It doesn't matter what stat you look at, the failure rate is high. And one of the reasons the failure rate is high is this hero narrative that we hear. Grinding your way to success like a marathon, it's really more like navigating a minefield. With martial arts background, sparring blindfolded. You don't win with endurance alone, you adapt, you pivot, and then you take the hits without losing your center. I'm not saying this to discourage you from starting or keep going at it and grinding, but I want you to know, especially if you're about to start a business, that you cannot get that black belt if you don't step on the mat. And one more thing I want to mention before we move on to the second force is that in entrepreneurship, and that has to be clear in your mind, there are no shortcuts. Successful entrepreneurship takes time, takes focus, takes dedication, and takes a lot of repetition to reach mastery. Now, you can get to your destination faster by spotting patterns, learning from others, finding perils, and knowing everything you can possibly know about everything knowable in your domain is what will make you stand out, and clients will rush to you to solve their problems and will pay you premium for it. The second force, planning. Many founders either wing it or get stuck in perfection mode. Let me walk you through some examples so that you can avoid under-planning and over-planning. There's a famous quote by Eisenhower that I like. He says, "The plan is nothing, but planning is everything." No matter how comprehensive and thorough and solid a business plan is, it will not withstand the first encounter of reality. But the discipline of writing the plan will force you as a founder to think of all the issues and all the areas of the business. Some of the common issues I see when I review business plans is that founders underestimate the effort, they have insufficient financial runway, they don't do enough market research. They're so passionate about the idea, they're so in love with the solution, they don't do customer research, they don't validate their assumptions, and then they complain there are no customers and there's no sale. Or they fall into what I call false positives, which is assuming the behavior of some early adopters or a few set of people, maybe friends or family members, that is going to be the same behavior of mainstream customers. See, a family member or a friend might have bought from you just to encourage you, to support you. So you have to do your due diligence and do enough market research. And I have a tool for you to help you overcome this challenge. Use my 10 plus 5 rule. Speak with 10 potential customers and research 5 competitors. This way, you'll understand the pain points, the challenges, the issues that the customers are facing. Then when you go to market, you are equipped with knowledge from the customers, the potential buyers, and also you'll find ways to stand out from the competition. So that's on under planning. What about over planning? This is when people are stuck in cycles of strategizing without devoting enough time to hitting the pavement. And I can tell you from experience, in my very first business, when my co-founder and I wanted to sell. For a week, writing a business plan, we spoke with others, we did a whole lot of research, and then we kept delaying going out and speaking to customers because of the fear of selling. So I want you to plan, I want you to do your due diligence, I want you to research your customers, but you have to go out there and knock on doors and speak with people and start a conversation about how you can solve their problems. And if you're looking for a guideline on the size or the thickness of your business plan, I don't want you to write a 50-page document, not even a 20-page document. Do some initial planning, go out and speak with customers, pitch, see what the response is, come back, improve it, refine it, iterate on that plan, and then go out to the market and test and validate your assumptions. The first day we went out to sell, we had 5 rejections. 5 business owners said no to us. It was devastating. It took us a couple of days to recover. But you know what we did? We went back and documented every rejection we got and then wrote an answer to it. So next time when we're pitching again, we know how to answer these rejections. The third force is business partners. So many crashes and a few lucky takeoffs start here. Good idea, bad partners. In all of my ventures, all 7 of them, I've always had business partners. I think it worked better for me. Now, you might be thinking of going solo, that's totally okay, but the concepts I'm about to cover are still relevant because you might need investors or a silent partner, or you might have a senior first hire who you treat like a partner. So hear me out and take notes of these important tips. See, when you start a business, it gets very lonely. And support is very important. You need technical support, you need business planning support, you even need emotional support. I remember when I used to go out to sell, way back then in my very first business, my business partner, every time before I left the office, he would look at me and say, "Go make us proud." That meant the world for me. It gave me a boost of energy to go out and sell. And mind you, I was still learning sales at the time. And those few words of encouragement from my partner helped me go out there and try my best to close those deals. Now, keep in mind, when you have a business partner, there's potential for conflict, you have to share profits, and then there's loss of control. But there are 3 areas under this business partnership force that if you pay close attention to, you'll have a successful partnership and also a long-term, maybe a lifelong friendship. First, in running the business, look for someone with complementary skills. If you're the outgoing person, if you're the sales and marketing person, maybe you need someone who can help you implement and deliver the service. Or maybe your partner is great with people, they can take care of all aspects of customer service while you take care of the back office. So next, personality and traits. Also here, look for complementary personalities. You might be the type who rushes the decisions. Having a partner who's a bit more deliberate will save you a whole lot of bad decisions that you would make on your own otherwise. Also look for those who have shared values. Things like dependability, reliability, the culture of the company, how you and them want to take care of the team that is helping you grow the business. And then last but not least, compatibility in goals. This will be very important during tough times and also at certain inflection points. So if you want to sell the business and cash out and go and retire in Hawaii, that might be your goal. They want to maybe retire in the business, right? You might want to bring in an investor and they don't want to do that. You might want to start sharing profits when you are profitable. The partner might want to keep all the money in the business to scale the business better and stronger. And last but not least, look for people who are egoless. It's really hard to partner and spend most of your waking hours with people who have big egos. And then under business partnership, the last component here is the legal aspect of things. I see so many issues among partners because they have these nebulous and informal agreements. Make sure everything is in writing. Don't shake hands and start a venture with equity and control and big decisions that are all done verbally. Hire an attorney who will help you develop a partnership agreement, an operating agreement that determines who is gonna call which shot, who's gonna own what happens if this person wants to leave, what happens if this person is hit with a bus, what happens if you wanna bring an investor and your partner doesn't. These partnership agreements will become very handy, especially after the honeymoon period of starting a business. Now, as to where to find these partners, I know there are portals out there and services where you can potentially search for a partner, but my strong recommendation is to look for people whom you know very well. People you volunteered with, people you served with, people with whom you have rapport and trust. Now, if you must partner with a stranger, get to know them, travel with them, see how they treat the waiter, work on a small project before you sign a partnership agreement. And the fourth force, this is the one that no one talks about, and it hits harder than the rest: life. Entrepreneurship doesn't happen in a vacuum. There are internal factors and there are external factors. Let's first talk about the internal factors, what I call the seasons of life. You might have the resources, the time, the energy to start a business today, but you might have some obligations outside of work that are really important that will limit your time commitment to this new business. And if this is the case, wait, hold off on starting a business, because we must take care of important relationships, whether it's new children, whether it's aging parents, someone in our household who is struggling with addiction. If you are consumed by something personal, by some factors outside of work, handle those and take care of those. And then when you're freed up, when you have the mental capacity and the time to dedicate to the business, go out and focus all of your energy on that business. So if this is not the right season to start a business or to grow a business, that is okay. Take care of what you need to take care of, and then start to find ways to allocate time, mental capacity, mental space, and resources to kick it off and get back into the grind once you have taken care of the important relationships that you have in your own personal life. And there are external factors. Timing is everything. Sometimes you start a business or you decide to grow a business and go into a new market, and the timing is terrible. Now, how do you avoid bad timing? You need a crystal ball. They don't exist yet. How do you fix it? Well, you might get lucky, but the thing you can do is to always be ready to pivot. Let's say you started a business that requires a lot of manual review of documentation. And with AI, this whole process can be automated, and then your business is obsolete. Well, you know something about this domain. You know something about this market. So instead of shutting down the business, you can come back and leverage AI to automate the processes that can be automated. You can add some packages to support, maintenance, training, solve more complex problems. But the idea is, as a business owner, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you have skills, you have domain knowledge. And remember to choose your people wisely, commit before ready, never stop building, and don't fear setbacks and mistakes. They're part of the path. And if you want to learn about 10 common mistakes business owners make, watch this video here.